Alright, everybody. So you know how lately I've been talking about how it feels like the anti-woke media grift, particularly in the realm of gaming, is kind of falling apart? I've always said it's like a candle burning at both ends. It burns real bright and real hot, and that means to say, comparatively to YouTube, it means they blow up really big, they get a lot of views and make a lot of money, but it lasts half as long. Very quickly, these people fall off the face of the earth, no one cares about them because it's such a, intangible and vibes-based community and movement of politics online that you can never predict what the next big talking point is going to be and how that's going to positively or negatively affect your channel if you're in that sphere. And it feels like lately, especially with the amount of reliance on reporting on rumors and just like made-up talking points that are meant to sound like a win for 5 seconds, a lot of the fans of these right-wing grift content creators have actually been dipping their toes in left-wing content. I know from my own comment sections and private DMs that lately I've been getting a fair amount of conservative content viewers watching my videos lately. They've been getting into my videos and they've been at least giving my arguments a chance, and some of them have even stuck around and continued to watch my videos. And a lot of it stems from the fact that right-wing YouTubers right now are overtly using their fans. Like, explicitly, overtly, openly using their fans for money and content, and bragging that they're just grifting and trying to make money whenever they get any pushback because they can't defend their ideas. And people are recognizing this, they're feeling used and disrespected, and the fact that they're both conservative doesn't matter if they feel like their conservatism is being weaponized in a dishonest way. And so we started to see, across the board, big content creators that aren't even political getting into dunking on the right-wing grift, like dipping their toes into it. And it's, in my opinion, a very good omen. We've gone over the Act Man dunking on Andy Pants. We've covered Act Man's further videos talking about how there's cringe right-wingers claiming every new game is woke. And now we're going to be going over a video by a large YouTuber named Diesel Patches, who at one point was a conservative and ended up falling out of the right-wing radicalization hole. He made a whole video about it. It's very good. And nowadays makes, politically neutral content, like not really into politics, but also calls out drama. YouTube is allowing these videos. Hassan is actually right. The One Piece is real. I guess this is Hassan being right about One Piece, because Hassan's a big One Piece fan. Sensitive Society is cringe. This is like a Leafy clone YouTuber that makes anti-woke content. A lot of it is just general YouTube community content, right? But recently, he made a couple videos calling out Andy Pants, and also a video calling out a Cheeto, who's another like right-wing chud grift channel, but he's more into like the realm of YouTube drama and adding a right-wing bent to any like drama happening around a content creator. And so Diesel Patches put out a video that people have been requesting of me about Andy Pants gaming, and I figure we ought to watch it, because what better of an example of big content creators getting annoyed by this anti-woke grift and calling it out than this? Let's hop into it. Let's check it out. I'm just genuinely excited to finally watch this because I've wanted to see it myself and people recommended it to me. And yeah, let's jump in. As always, this is a blind watch of the video. It's a bit short, so we should be able to watch all of it, but I highly recommend you go check out Diesel Patches. There should be a link down below. It's a good channel. Like his stuff. He's had a very positive and respectable political evolution in the last few years. Really love to see it. I have a cold, sorry if I sound different. Let me know if the video's loud, by the way.
A YouTuber named Andy Pants Gaming called me a cuck in a Birmingham cigarette, which isn't exactly untrue, but it still hurt my feelings nonetheless. All I really did was call him stupid and a poo-poo head, so he clapped back with this, and then followed up with another response to push this narrative that I like men. Well, Andy, you're a couple years late because I already got exposed for being the big gay long ago, and since then I've come to terms with it. I'm mentally prepared for you.
Yeah, Diesel Patches is gay. He says Lily sings funny, but he sucks black cocks. Yeah, Diesel hangs around the block with his ain't no destroyer and he thinks he's funny. What a dummy. Yeah, now Lord Allah doesn't accept big gays like Diesel Patches.
However, at the same time, I do want to become a better person. Nay, a better man. Thankfully, Andy has uploaded a super base black-pilled video that gives steps to help boys become men. Step aside, Gurren Lagann. You've been outshined. You think Kamina is a real man's man? Well, I no longer call him Aniki. I look up in respect to the one and the only.
I don't
Andy
watch
Pants
anime.
Gaming. Andy is the one that wears the orange shades now. So he uploaded a video called What is the Crisis of Masculinity? And I'm looking forward to it. Andy has deemed me cringe in beta, so I hope to follow in his footsteps, become a better man. Let us go ahead and
Masculinity is when World War. Masculinity is when government mandated draft.
watch this video so we can listen to Andy's advice on how to become a real man.
Fellas, some of you younger guys really need to hear this right now. And I know a lot of you older guys already know this, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's an absolutely essential message in the absolute clown world that we live in right now.
All right, let's hear it.
Good God.
You're a man.
What a 2019 meme. Who remembers Clown World? For those that don't know, Clown World was like one of those PSYOP memes in 2019 where like half the people using it were just like Zoomers who liked the funny clown Pepe, and the other half were Nazis who were saying we live in a clown world because gay people are accepted and Jews run the world or whatever. Like that was the basis of Clown World. Like the initial posts that started the Clown World meme were about how gays and Jews run the world, and thus it is a clown world, a world run by clowns, right? And it's still used by Nazis, but I just haven't heard it in a long time. I just remember whether or not Clown World was a Nazi dog whistle was a real talking point for like a year in 2019 because normies like to use it and didn't mean Nazi dog whistling when they used it. And so any lefty who called out the Nazi dog whistle use of it was automatically assumed to be referring to non-right-wing users of it, and then they would get dogpiled. And there could be no conversation, which is exactly the outcome that when far-right people make a dog whistle and use it, it's exactly what they want to happen. They want normal people to use it, for it to get called out as a dog whistle, and for normal people to feel called out, and to dogpile the people recognizing it for what it is. That is their goal.
Yeah?
You're not a woman.
Uh-huh.
You're not gay.
All right, now you've lost me. Andy, if we're rejecting labels, why did you call me a giggling fairy? I'm a man too.
You're not trans. You're not bisexual. You're not pansexual.
I'm sorry, I can't take this shit seriously with the fucking Saving Private Ryan B-roll and inspirational music in the background while Andy tells me I'm not trans or pansexual.
You were made to conquer. The Bible says you were made to rule. You were made to shit up.
All right, so...
This is fundamentally what I keep telling you guys motivates so much of conservative ideology. They aren't motivated by, like, a different path to making the world better and increasing happiness for as many people as possible. Like, the fundamentally, like, ontologically good position to have as a human being. They're motivated by might makes right. That if you have the power and ability to unleash as much cruelty as possible on another person, and it's enough to break them or put them down, then you have won. And that you know, that might makes right. You deserve more. Are you part of a minority group that's been disadvantaged and put down? Are you disabled? Is your life harder because of it? That's what you deserve. If you can't, just might makes right. That is simply how they think. They didn't develop empathy. I genuinely wonder if one day we'll have like a study done that finds that conservatives I know we know they lack empathy, but I wonder if we find that they operate like on a lower level of brain activity. I would love if we could do like studies on that to find how many of the average conservative are operating on less neurons than the average progressive, right? Because sometimes it genuinely feels like you're talking to AI from 2 years ago, like before it was as advanced. Like, inhuman at times.
Men are supposed to be... what, terrorists in your eyes? I get growing a pair, but I could do that without the conquering and fucking shit up part.
When somebody needs to be brave enough to run headlong into danger and possibly get killed, do they send a woman? Do they send a ladyboy? No, they send a man. When they need someone to explore the icy north and spend 40 days at sea catching rare sea life in the most dangerous conditions imaginable, do they send somebody who is confused about their sexuality? No, they send a man.
Yes. What else can men do that others cannot? When the fridge breaks down and you need someone to fix it, you don't send in a woman, you bring in a man. When little Timmy is stuck in a well, crying for help, we don't rely on beta cucks to rescue him, we send in a man. When the Glorgatron race invades our planet and promises to destroy all life as we know it, we don't send in trans femboys with cat ears, we send in men.
Women are meant to be at home in a safe and comfortable environment so that they
This is women's biological purpose. This is what they believe. You shouldn't be allowed to vote, own businesses or property, or to go to school. You should be forced into marriage as young as possible and to start making babies. This is the life of women if these people win. They cannot tolerate the ability for women to choose otherwise. It's what they based a lot of their countercultural movement off of. It is a response to women gaining autonomy and freedom. It is threatening to them. Women are getting a less narrow path to success in life, and more of those paths are not including marrying a low quality, low standard guy and settling. And that terrifies them. It makes them really scared.
Tend to the children.
Wow, Andy is so based that he time traveled back into the 1950s. I would love to hear his thoughts on race too, but I think I already know how that would go. When black people are simply minding their own business, it is an obligation from an absolute white Chad to find the nearest fire hydrant and hose those fuckers down. That's what a real man would do.
Every road
he does believe
in every
that.
country
Andy
was
Pants
built
does
by men.
believe that.
Every bridge and skyscraper was built by men.
You know that's not true. Come on. You know that's not true. My grandma worked in concrete pouring, okay? Like, a good amount of foundations and roads around Tampa were, like, done by my grandma, all right? And before that, she worked in sewer management. She was going down with a hard hat through manholes and sewers and, like, inspecting shit to make sure it's not, like, infrastructurally broken, right? This is just one woman I know in my life, may she rest in peace, that did, like, that kind of hard labor that's considered men's work. There are countless women who took part in this. It's always funny, too, because the entire, like, in manufacturing in the U.S., like, all the bullets that the men at war were using to fight were being made by women. All of those, like, fine metal parts used in the guns, the bullets, like, every electronic used for battle and for war, everything from the cans made for rationing and the crops grown that were rationed into them to be sent off for the soldiers. This was all women. Like, that's where that, like, feminist icon of, I forget what her name is. I don't know her name, but the like flexing woman that is like associated with feminism comes from the logo that was associated with women taking up the world of manufacturing in the US when all the men got shipped off. The fact was that necessity forced America forward in progress, and we all had to accept, oh, it's just Rosie the Riveter? Okay, cool. Someone had mentioned that earlier. The first person to mention that was NASDAQ, I think. Yeah, so like I said before, we have had points in which our societies have been forced to allow women to hold up their end, their half of, like, earning the keep, you know, keeping things going. And when we have, it has not resulted in societal collapse. In fact, it followed into one of the most prosperous times for American businesses and manufacturing, which was the 1950s, after World War II. The literal time where these people harken back to as the peak of American culture and society and economy and the American dream. The, like, decade after World War II, where we, like, massively allowed women into the world of hard work, like labor-intensive work.
Every car, every vehicle, every machine was designed by a man. This is your world.
Holy shit, get off men's dick, you fucking gaywad.
Oh, men built this and built that, and women could never.
This is what these young boys, by the way, that get into, like, far-right incel content, this is what they want to hear as, like, the reason why they are being robbed or things are taken from them as society gets more progressive. The idea that, like, this is your birthright, and feminism and progressivism and DEI are taking it from you. Your privileges, your ability to get married and have babies and have a wife that does everything you ask, these are birthrights that you have that feminism and progressivism are trying to destroy and take from the white man, right? Like, it's a much more, like, buried, dog-whistled, and soft version of that idea, but if I were to just cut away all the sugarcoating, that is fundamentally the sentiment that these figures appeal to in young men.
Don't get me wrong, I love men, and Andy knows this too, but maybe you should have been granted the fajita insult over me based on how much you're sucking on men's dicks. I'm just saying.
If a guy ever tells you he thinks it's the woman's job to lead the household just as much as the man,
and they love their AI-generated images,
if a guy ever lets his wife drive, he is sus.
Dude, even Saudi Arabia allows women to drive now. Andy is so base, he not only time-traveled back to the 50s, but also somehow surpassed old-fashioned traditional Muslims. Yeah, what's next? Stoning for women who dare to show their ankles? Real based, Andy.
And the reason our culture is the complete dumpster fire...
To be fair, a good few, nations we associate with Sharia law had nothing even approximating Sharia law, a few decades ago. The Islamic Revolution is why Sharia law exists in a lot of the Middle East currently. And, a lot of the people behind it, putting it into place, we backed decades ago. We supported them. I'm not getting into the history lesson there. Honestly, Dylan Burns would probably be better to do it with. I should do another collab with Dylan Burns. His history stuff is always so good. He's just really good at telling a story from what is considered old history to what is now just foreign policy. Making it all one steady story that makes sense, you know?
Fire that it is today is because masculinity is getting called toxic right now. Femininity is prized in our culture today.
Now, even though I do agree with the segment showcasing masculinity unfairly...
This is the type of dude to see a guy walking around with a baby and a baby Bjorn and to be look at that fucking pussy. How dare he carry his child around? That's woman's work. What is he, fucking gay? This dude is unironically... Fellas, is it gay to be a loving father and husband to my wife? Is that gay?
Being automatically associated with toxicity. I think Andy needs to realize that dudes like him are the reason why masculinity is seen as a bad thing. When people like you say dumb shit like women are just followers who should just stay at home and make babies, it doesn't really surprise me if a lot of women are going to call you a dipshit and clap back by making fun of your masculinity. There's nothing wrong with being a manly man, wanting to work hard, get your hands dirty.
Man, why are women continuously moving further and further left, abandoning faith and religion, and why are young Gen Z men who are getting more conservative also having less sex and taking longer, if ever, to lose their virginity? Surely there must be no connection there. Surely the symptom must be a reason to do more of the root of the problem, you know? I assure you, most of these incels, most of these people who have a problem with dating or getting a girlfriend that leads them to these positions, they already held notions and ideas that were approximate to this already, and it led to them absolutely just being rizless. You can't be an incel that has riz. It's not a thing. And so they were rizless because they don't view women as people and they can't talk to women, and their rejection leads them to digging deeper. You know, I've seen this happen with so many incels. It is like the ultimate incel cycle. And it feeds into itself, of course. The more incel you get, the worse you are at talking to women, the more rejections you're going to get, inevitably, and the deeper you're going to be pushed into the black pill.
And even rejecting feminine traits. I think people who say if you're not comfortable with wearing a dress and you're insecure about your masculinity are brain dead. And no guy should have to prove their own masculinity by doing something they don't want to do.
It's time to be a man. We need masculine men. Seek out role models. Seek out dads. Seek out men who don't drive Priuses.
I agree with that point too. Prius drivers are the most smug people on this planet.
And I want to close here by giving you just a couple other random thoughts. Number one, if you're under 18 and addicted to video games, what the heck are you doing? I'm on video games now because I'm 41, I'm married, and I have a kid, and I'm stuck in the house.
If you are under 18 and addicted to video games, what are you doing? I've never heard an adult say that kids shouldn't play video games and they should only be allowed for adults. That's crazy. I was expecting the reverse argument of if you're over 18 and you play video games, then what are you doing? You should stop. But this dude's explicitly making content for teenagers and telling them, I don't care if you like video games. Stop doing that. Instead, you need to become a right-wing peak of masculinity. Now go spend all of your allowance on an alpha boot camp. Yeah, adulthood is when you ignore your wife and children to play video games, apparently.
Andy, not gonna lie, you're starting to sound like a beta cuck soy boy. You're gonna sit there all high and mighty on your little throne, telling 18-year-olds that if they're still playing video games, then they're no better than women, while being a gamer yourself.
But I'm 41 and already married, so I already won, guys.
41 isn't 93. Get your fat, lazy ass out there and go build a bridge or something, Andy. Here's what's funny to me. Back in the day, you know, the good old days when men ruled the world and women just cooked babies and burnt steak, you would be the one considered the loser if you were 41 years old and still playing video games. Now, do I think that?
Line.
No. I'll probably be playing video games for the rest of my life because they're fun, but it's just hilarious to me that Andy tried to sneak that in.
You gotta admit, he was cooking there. Back in the good old days when women just had babies and burnt steak, goes kind of crazy. He was kind of cooking with that line. You got to admit.
Number 4, if you're single, ask that girl out.
What if I like men?
Number 6, if you're married, you probably don't need any advice from me. Keep grinding, brother.
Hey, thanks, Andy. My husband and I are very happy.
Our society is falling apart because dads quit speaking, because dads are no longer present, because dads are sitting on YouTube on their phones watching videos while their family.
Is it interesting that, like, he has to use AI generated images? Because, like, right-wing channels have always in the past at least been able to clip images or video clips out of context to back up their points and, like, just kind of string them together to create a narrative. Now, though, they don't even bother with that. They just AI generate an image of, like, quote-unquote fat woke person, lots of LGBT merch, sitting at desks, screaming while typing on keyboard, and they make that, like, their companion image for a point, you know? Or, like, they'll do the cancel pig thing where it's, like, woke fat person wearing LGBT merch, anthropomorphized pig, and they'll use that for their thumbnail. That's been, like, a big trend in this space lately, if you haven't noticed. These people love AI.
Families fall apart.
Well, what the hell? How are we going to watch your videos like this
Generative
one if you're
AI.
telling us it's bad to watch YouTube? You're giving us that message through a YouTube video. Do you not see the irony in that? Should I unsubscribe from your channel to achieve level 36 of manhood?
Number 7, if you don't know what to do with your life, bro, just do something. You're young. Just try something, man.
And finally, number 8, falsely copyright strike a channel because you're an insensitive pussy. That's what real men do.
He did that to Actman, by the way. He lost the debate to Actman, for those that don't know. And in response, Andy Pan's false striked Actman. Actman won, and the strike was removed, of course. But Andy Pants probably won't be touched, even with such big YouTubers calling him out. But now that we're getting to the point where these right-wing grift channels, when called out, are so scared of losing money and so scared of their grift being called out, they're willing to engage in copyright abuse, one of the biggest no-no taboos on YouTube that no one is okay with. Man, they're digging their own grave here. I'm just saying, they're digging their own grave here.
All right, boys, so in closing, just remember society hates us right now, but we run society. So we don't really have to take it anymore.
That is literally 1-for-1. The enemy is both weak and powerful. Society hates us right now, but we run society is the ultimate. The enemy is both weak and strong. Holy shit. There it is, just right in your face.
Promote men, follow men, honor men, lift men up. Never turn on each other. Don't act like a woman.
Yeah, that's right, guys. Don't act like a stupid female with their petty insults. Affronting your fellow brothers is blasphemy. I would never do something like that. This segment is especially funny to me because Andy responds to comments like a petty 15-year-old girl who didn't make the cheerleading squad when he sees people
Sometimes he just disables comments.
disagree with his shit opinions. What do you guys think? Is Andy an alpha Chad or a super mega alpha Chad? Let me know in the comments.
That was a good video. I like this. I'm really happy to see that content creators like Diesel Patches are also getting on board with this. I'm telling you guys, we're entering like a repeat of what feels like, God, 2017, 2018, that kind of time, where it felt like the anti-SJW sphere, which was so unanimous that it, like, you'd be watching just some random gaming YouTuber and someone, like, they'd kill someone in a game of Fortnite, and then there'd be a clip of, like, some feminist saying, I'm so fucking triggered right now. Like, it was so culturally where the internet was at that it was everywhere. Like, the standard, the default was to be an anti-SJW conservative-leaning person, right? No matter where you fell on the political spectrum even. And as we started to see the figures that kind of promoted that culture begin to show their full asses and people started to call it out, it fell apart. And nowadays, if you're like in your 20s, then chances are you've got that like phase where you were a teenager who was a cringe chud. and you watched anti-SJW content. But now it's a whole new wave of youngsters, as we'll say, since I'm a boomer. And it's a whole new line of talking points. It's the same line of talking points, really. They've just been repackaged, you know? Like forced diversity is now DEI or whatever. Or no, before it was affirmative action, which was their original like fear-mongering thing, has become DEI. Like, it's the same things over and over. They just come up with new words, and they shill it to a new audience. Right-wing gooners in a nutshell.
Very few things in history.
Well, we've watched this video. It's a good video, but it's not really related. Andy Pants sounds like a LiveJournal /AIM era username. That really might be. He did say he's in his 40s, so it wouldn't make sense, or it wouldn't surprise me if he was using AIM. Like, absolutely, he was using AIM back in the day. So that might be a really old OG username of his from, like, way back in the day. Back in the 90s. Back when the ozone was non-existent and the sun was brighter. And the earth was just a little cooler. Anyway, guys, with that said, I hope you enjoyed this segment. If you found what I said or my commentary entertaining, enjoyable, informative, then please consider dropping a like, subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video. And of course, consider perhaps even supporting me by following my social medias linked down below, joining my free fan Discord through the link in the description. I host game events, watch parties, call-in streams, and announce all my new uploads there, by the way. And on top of that, if you really want to support me, you can go the extra mile by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buying merch at the Streamlabs link down below if you want to help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio. Well, with all that said, regardless of how you supported me, even if you're just a lurker, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a good one.